Hey everyone! So this video is everything and anything you would want to know up to this point about my recent diagnosis with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Now if you're looking at this video and the date below is really old, that means all this information is probably really old because this is what I know so far. Now I am also not a doctor, so most of the information that I have is either from my own research or from talking to my doctors about my specific condition. So if you're dealing with this, I suggest you do the same and try to get information that's particular to you. So this is what I know so far. We'll start from the beginning. So when I was 17 years old, which is about 11 years ago, I had a normal physical done. And during that physical, my doctor noticed that my thyroid was a little bit enlarged. Concerned about cancer, he did some blood work, he did an ultrasound, everything came back okay. He was not concerned. Fast forward. 10 years later, when I was 27, which was about a year and a half ago, I had a new doctor, and same thing, feeling my neck, felt that my thyroid was a little bit enlarged. I told him I had it checked out when I was younger, and he felt because it had been such a long time that we should do that again. I did not take his advice. I decided that I didn't want to get the ultrasound because my insurance wasn't going to cover it, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So I put it off. Next year rolls around. He scolded me about it, talked to my husband, and he was like, just go ahead and get it done. So I had it done. Had my thyroid levels checked, which is your TSH, which is the very basic test that the doctor is going to do, especially a general practitioner, and I had an ultrasound done. Everything came back normal, or so I thought. We'll get back to that later. So fast forward about 6 or 7 months, my husband and I have decided that we want to have a baby. I have gone off of birth control and start noticing that my cycles are just very irregular. Well, I finally had the longest cycle that I'd ever had. It was coming up on like 55 to 60 days. Decided to get in touch with my OBGYN, came in, she ran regular tests for PCOS, she did a pelvic ultrasound, ran tests for prolactin, ran other tests, and looked at one of my charts because my general practitioner came from the same, umbrella as her, and she said, I'm looking at your thyroid levels and what they were checked out a couple months ago, and while they are normal, they are not what I would want to see for somebody trying to conceive. So I suggest we run them again, and from there we may have to go see an endocrinologist. Well, she ran my blood work, and they came back high. So I have it written down. The first time I ever went to see the doctor, when he had suggested that I get the ultrasound, my thyroid level was at a 3.65. Normal was 5. So that's why everything came back normal. Well, then when I came back to him the year later, it was at a 2.705, which is also considered normal, and it was actually a little lower than what I had before. Well, when I went to see my OBGYN, my levels were at a 4.355, which normal is a 3.6, so I was definitely above that. And she was very concerned, said that for anyone trying to conceive, she wanted to see it at like a 1 or a 1.5, which I had never been on according to those numbers. So she suggested I go see an endocrinologist. Went to see that endocrinologist and realized that the ultrasound I had had a year ago, remember that ultrasound that was normal, was not quite as normal as I was told. I've read the reports, and at the very bottom of the report, the ultrasound tech had said that, yes, he had noticed that my thyroid was enlarged. There were no nodules, which was what they were really looking for, but that it was enlarged and inflamed, and that it was very similar to what he would see of somebody who had Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I was never told this, and this pissed me off very much. So when I went to see my new endocrinologist, I mentioned this, and while she wasn't really concerned about it, she did end up diagnosing me with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So what is Hashimoto's? Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease, and it affects your thyroid. So it's not a problem with your thyroid. It's a problem elsewhere in your body that goes and attacks your thyroid. She ran what they call, I have it written down again, my anti-thyroglobin and my anti-thyroid peroxib. My antithyroid globin was a 5.1. Normal is anywhere between 0 and 4, so that was definitely elevated. And then my antithyroid peroxib I hope I'm saying that right, was a 237.6. Normal is between 0 and 9. So that was extremely, extremely elevated, which showed her that I had extra antibodies in my body that were attacking my thyroid and thinking that it was a foreign invader and trying to kill it off. So what does that do to you? It gives you hypothyroidism, which means that your thyroid has begun to slow down and that it is not keeping up your metabolism as well. It also makes you very, very hungry, makes you very, very tired, can give you other symptoms such as brittle and dry hair. People sometimes have reflux with it. It's a whole gamma of symptoms. And in my case, it was causing me not to have a menstrual cycle or a very, very long menstrual cycle, which is not good if you're trying to get pregnant. So my endocrinologist put me on a levothyroxine, which is a synthroid type drug. I'm only on a 25 mcgs right now, and that's because I just got diagnosed. We're going to reevaluate after a certain period, and then if I need to go up, we'll go up. If I need to go down, I need to go down. So what does this mean for me when trying to conceive? It means basically that I probably won't. I might. There is a slim possibility I might, but I probably won't until I get my thyroid levels down to a normal range, which my OBGYN said was a 1 to 1.5. How long will it take me to get there? I don't know. It just depends on how long it takes, for us to find the right medication to bring me down to that. My pharmacist told me that most of the time people don't see a real big change until 4 to 6 months out. I've found other people on YouTube and Instagram who've had much earlier success. I've found people who have still not had success and it's been years. So I don't know. And that kind of sucks because we've been in this process for a year of trying to conceive and definitely not being very patient about it right now. So that's where I get into trying to do my own research and what can I do in the meanwhile that goes beyond medication. Well, I found a book by an Isabella Wentz. She is a pharmacist. She also suffers from hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And she wrote this wonderful book about the root cause, because that's what I wanted to know. Like, why do I have this autoimmune disease? Not necessarily how do I treat the thyroid that is being attacked by my autoimmune disease, but why do I have it and what can I do to fix it? So I haven't finished the book yet, but I have sat in on a Google Hangout between her and someone else where I got to listen to a lot of what she had to say and, of course, the book so far. And basically what I've learned, and I've had this backed up by my general practitioner, is that an autoimmune disease is actually a problem with your digestion tract, or at least it originates in your digestive tract. So you could have a food sensitivity that is triggering your autoimmune. You could have a leaky gut. You could also have a lot of toxins in your, around you, whether it's at work or, home, or again, with the foods that you're eating. So those are kind of some of the triggers of it. So what do you do to fix that? And according to her, she thinks a lot of it has to do with diet, which of course makes sense because a lot of the diseases that we have nowadays are affected by what we eat. So she is suggesting, to limit your glutens, limit your dairies, and even in some people limit your fruits, which makes sense for me because I've always felt like when I've eaten fruits that I've had like a huge spike in just like my insulin, and I've gained weight off of just eating fruit and vegetables. I know, it's crazy. So, I went to my doctor with this and I said, what do you think about the whole gluten thing? What do you think about the whole dairy thing? And they weren't really buying it. But I think that what this Isabella Wentz has to say still holds a lot of bearing. And so what I'm doing is I'm cutting out even more processed foods. I was cutting them out before just for a health standpoint, but I'm cutting them out even more, trying to stay away from them completely. And I have found a diet regimen called the Trim Healthy Mama, which is for people of all ages and for men and women, not necessarily mamas. And it just talks a lot about eating to stimulate your metabolism, and a lot of it does not have glutens, has very little dairy, separate some of the foods out. So I'm going to try that, see how that works, hopefully lose a little bit of weight. There's been other people who have done this THM diet and have had success with their thyroid, so I'm doing that as well. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. That's like the best that I can do at this point. So if anything new comes along, I'll try to update this video or make a new video. But that's where I am. My next appointment is actually only 30 days out to check my levels again. And I have not had a normal menstrual cycle since going on my medication, but I'm hoping very soon that I do. So that's all I know right now about Hashimoto's thyroiditis. If you have any questions, leave them below. I'll try to answer them. And I hope that this video has helped somebody out.